from the physiological point of view, it is a chronic stress reaction. So the way you react to stress, when you see a lot of that you can't just, sweep under the rug.
Yeah.
You experience this week in and week out. That would be signs of burnout for you.
We are thrilled to be joined by the incredible Victoria Mensch. When I saw your last name, Victoria, I'm in Germany currently, and Mensch is a German word which means people or person actually. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to ask you directly, even before finishing the introduction, if you are German or of German origin.
No, I'm not of German origin. I'm actually of Russian origin. But this last name, I was told that it's not just a person, but it's a strong person. So, okay, I'll take that.
Victoria, you are CEO and founder of Silicon Valley Executive Academy, and with over 25 years of leadership experiences in high-tech industries. You have a PhD, you have MBA, true expert in mastering sustainable success. So I'm looking forward to learning so much from you. But before that, I would like to just welcome you to the show. Welcome. How are you doing?
Thank you very much, Tobi. I'm doing very well. I'm very happy to be here today with you.
I'm so happy to be hosting this podcast episode at the moment and having you as a guest, because I so much respect everything that you've achieved and what you are doing out there, helping leaders, to become better, to balance everything up. Attain. This is the word I've gotten to learn over the past years, and I love to use it so much in a lot of things. Sustainable. Like I use sustainable in a lot of things. Like it has to be sustainable in success. So when I saw sustainable success, I was like, oh, okay, success can be sustainable also. So before we go into all of the questions that I have bubbling in my mind right now, I would just like us to get to know you better. And to get to know you better, we're going to answer some word card questions.
Okay.
3 levels. We'll start with icebreakers, then we'll go into confessions, level 2, and then level 3 will be getting deep.
Okay.
Are you ready for it?
What's deeper than confession?
Deeper than confessions, like going deeper. So I have some cards here. I'm just going to pick one randomly. I'm shuffling at the moment, and I'll just pick one, and then I'll just ask you the question. You say it first.
What's the first thing you think of when you say I love?
Oh,
that's nice. Well, the first thing I think of is really a sense of joy, right? So when I say I love, it's really feeling with joy, because I think love is a very broad concept. It's not necessarily in terms of relationship, but in terms of your relationship with the life, with the broader kind of community, with the life, with the different parts of the community, with yourself. So when I hear words I love, they really fill me with joy and kind of high vibrations, if you want.
Yeah. I love that so much. Yeah. I believe love brings, joy into our lives, like unexplainable joy, pure joy, basically. Yeah. That's a nice answer. So, you ready for confession?
Yes. Level 2. Okay.
I'll just pick. You see, it's not difficult. It's a very, very simple, easy way. I've gotten to learn more about you right now, that once love is in place, then you feel joy. That's something I've learned.
Okay, what excuses do you make that hold you back? This is really important concept, actually. Over time, through practice, I realized that almost anything can be an excuse. And the way to get out of this is to say, I am responsible, or it's my choice. So almost anything can be turned into an excuse. So I continuously question myself. Is this, is this an excuse, or is this my choice? So it's actually a lot of it really in terms of what words you choose. So one of the words is like have to do something. So that would be an excuse, right? So, or I get to do something, or even better, I choose to do something.
Yeah.
Anything, whether you do it or you don't do it, it's a choice. Everything else is an excuse.
Yeah. I love that so much. So it boils down to your choice of words, basically, how you decide to frame the words, the sentence.
Yes, words are a continuation of your mindset, right? They said, so you say, well, I need to do the dishes. No, you don't need to, right? You get to if you want to, or you choose to. So, sometimes I didn't get the dishes because I didn't have time. So it actually means that you just have not prioritized it. And that's a choice that you made. You prioritize something else. That's why I'm saying that it's either your choice or it's an excuse not to do something.
Which is insane. Thanks so much for that. Level 3, are you ready?
Okay.
Yeah, let me fill up. I mean, you're killing it already. It's your CC. So I'll just pick up a card from the middle, basically, and turn it over to you. You're reading for the first time.
What is a dream you let go of, but it hurts?
The dream you let go.
I wouldn't say it hurts like deeply, but it's something that I know I probably am not likely to realize in my life. So when I was growing up and I was a kid, I really wanted to be an Olympic athlete.
Wow.
And I wasn't really doing any sports at the level of Olympic Games. So that's a dream that I let go of. But I remember as a child, I was dreaming of that. It was really very vivid in my life. I would watch all Olympic Games. I would imagine myself on the pedestal competing in whichever sport. I didn't really care that much. And that obviously something that I had to let go of. That's not going to happen in this life. I'd say that it deeply hurts to the point of regret. But I realize that there are some things in life I probably don't get to do.
Yeah, that's a very big sense of maturity. I feel I hear that. Basically, like, there are some things I'm enjoying this kind of life right now, but there are some things that I have to let go of to have this kind of life I have right now.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's deep for me. I mean, that's very deep for me. Thank you so much. Yeah. I mean, we can't do all things. We can't do everything. We're not God. Basically, we can't do everything. We can only choose to do the things that we are doing right now and be the best in it. And that is going to be a very good segue to my next question, basically, which is from myself, not from any card. So you decide not to. I mean, you did not become an athlete or an Olympian, or you didn't compete in the Olympic Games, for example, but you chose a different path for your life.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to learn from your personal journey and what inspired your passion for burnt-out-proof leadership.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The journey is very interesting. So out of high school, I really wanted to be a psychologist. So I went to study psychology. I got my bachelor degree in psychology. I got my master's in psychology. I got my PhD in psychology. And then I started counseling. And that lasted for about a year. And at the end of the year, I said, I cannot do this anymore. I made a mistake. I followed my passion. I knew it was my passion. I followed my passion. I did all I needed to do to follow that. And then I made a mistake. I just, can't stand it. And I looked around and, the first thing, obviously, you start looking around and say, well, for sure, it's because I made the mistake. For sure, it's my choice of work and my choice of activity. That was the mistake. So I switched my careers to the corporate path and I moved to a high-tech industry and I moved to marketing. I looked around, so what are the skills that I can apply, the skills that I have that I can apply? What would be that industry or what would be that function? And marketing popped up. So, okay, I'm going to do that. And then what do you think? What happens 3 years later or 2 years later? It's like, well, I made another mistake. I really cannot stand it anymore. For sure, it's the job. For sure, it's the industry. I was in a city industry that is so impersonal, that it's so hard and it's so stressful. For sure, I need to switch industries. So I switched industries. And then 3 years later, I found myself in the same situation again. So that's the journey, really, when I realized at some points that it's not about those external circumstances. It's not about the job. It's not about the industry. It's not about the place where you are. It's not about whether it's passion or it's not passion. It's really about my own mindset and my own choices, how I build my life. So from there, I realized that all those cycles that I went through were cycles of burnout. So I got curious, how do I actually get myself out of burnout without, you know, you know, um, exploding my life all over again and doing another, impossible pivot. So that's what brought me to do this work that in a lot of sense, right? So we really need to find our own, our own strategies to deal with stress, our own activities, our own mindsets to deal with those external circumstances through the internal shifts that will help bring that sustainability that we're looking for. And in a lot of cases, when you go through those exercises and when you master those tools, in a lot of cases, you actually don't need to change much externally. You can keep the job, and it turns out I like this job, right? So I can continue developing and growing, sometimes even within the same company. So I don't need to change a partner. I don't need to change climate. I don't need to change a country. It's really a lot of changes I can make internally that would bring that sense of sustainability and that not just sense of sustainability, but a true satisfaction and fulfillment in your life.
Oh, yeah, thank you so much. I would love to go deeper into that, but before we go deeper into the strategies that we need to put in place, I would like to learn, from the, I want to say the cycles that you got to experience, changing jobs and changing industries. What are like some common signs of burnout that you experienced? And also from your work with leaders out there, what are like burnout signs that they also experience?
Well, burnout is a chronic stress reaction. So it manifests differently for different people because our stress reaction, the way we react to stress is very personal as well. So if you think about how maybe sometimes you lose sleep when you're stressed, or sometimes you sleep too much. Some people lose appetite. Some people start craving things that are not healthy for them. So this is your personal stress reaction. So watch out for signs like this, even on the behavioral and physiological level. What the red thread usually is the sense of exhaustion. I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I don't have energy. And a lot of things that are coming out of that is lack of motivation, and skepticism, and negativism. So, but from the physiological point of view, it is a chronic stress reaction. So the way you react to stress, when you see a lot of that you can't just, sweep under the rug.
Yeah.
You experience this week in and week out. That would be signs of burnout for you.
So it boils down again to, you knowing who you are, understanding how you react or respond to different situations. Like, how do I react to stress? Once I'm able to figure that out, then I know, okay, if I'm feeling burnt out, then
Yeah.
I will
It's
express
a very
this.
beautiful work and practice if you think of it. It's I kind of look at a lot of this as a gift at the end, once you're on the other side of it. It is a gift because it's an opportunity for you to really learn about yourself, about who you are, how you react to stress. It's almost like learning a new language of talking to your own nervous system. The things that you truly desire, your purpose, your way to work, that works for you, and how you can really put up boundaries to maintain that and to hold up to that.
Yes, yeah. Well, in an ideal world, to be very wonderful not to experience stress or burnout and all of that. But fortunately, we don't live in an ideal world. So we have to put we have to put in those strategies in place to be able to avoid this. So, I mean, from your expertise and experience, what can we do? What strategy can we put in place in order to avoid burnout?
Mm-hmm. So I usually talk about two levels of burnout prevention or burnout treatment, if you want. So the first level is really stress management tools. And no matter whether you think you're a burnout or not, you'll live in the modern world. Very stressful. So we are exposed to all kinds of stress. It could be climate stress. It could be technological stress. It could be personal stress. It could be job stress, all kinds of stresses. And our nervous system is really overwhelmed with that. So we start to what used to be kind of a survival mechanism. So you see a life-threatening situation, or you perceive a life-threatening situation, and your nervous system gets activated for you to basically survive, right? So now what's happening, we don't see a lot of life-threatening situations, for better or worse, but we assign that life-threatening meaning to so many other things. Your boss is angry at you and you think you're going to lose your job. Oh my God, this is life-threatening, right? So your nervous system gets into the overreaction, and the survival mechanism really, kicks in. What it does, it mobilizes your system. But that reaction is meant for a short period of time. It's meant for this fight or flight response. So you see the situation and you react immediately to that. This is it. So you decide whether you're going to attack or you're going to flee the scene. This is it. And then your rest and digest system comes in and makes you, happy and satisfied and relaxed. But that's not how we live our lives. So in the modern world, to better or worse, that's what it is. So we're in these constant situations. Our survival system is constantly overreacting. It's constantly super active. So we are on overcharge. And stress management is really about that. How do you learn to talk to your survival mechanism? And that mechanism is pre-verbal. You cannot just tell yourself, oh, let's just calm down, right? That doesn't work this way. So why are you in this, why are you nervous? Why are you worried? Why are you anxious? Just calm down. So that doesn't work. But there is a language that system understands. That's a pre-verbal language. What is that language? The language of breath. We make that connection between the mind and our body through breath. So once you learn a few breathwork techniques, it really helps you to switch from that fight or flight mode to a rest and digest mode. And rest and digest is much more sustainable state of mind. Your other system comes online, right? So like your hormones are in balance, your appetite is in balance, your muscular response. So you're not in overdrive on adrenaline and cortisol all the time. So breath work is one of those mechanisms, stress management mechanism. Again, regardless of whether you think you're in burnout or not, I think the modern person in the modern society has to master those tools. How do I actually talk to myself without words? So another one of those is visualization. And that's, for you to, because that's the system that understands the language of images. Our, reptilian brain doesn't really distinguish that much between the real threat and imaginary threat. So I often talk to my client and I say, people who are anxious a lot and they imagine all those disastrous scenarios and they come to me and they say that they can't visualize. Like, no, you can't. You could just visualize disasters, right? So we need to train our system and practice visualizing positive scenarios. So maybe you sit down, you put your feet on the ground, you close your eyes, and you think about the happy place, maybe a meadow by the stream, right? So maybe somewhere on top of the mountains with the fresh air that's, surrounding you and the bright sun that hits your skin. So things like that, like these are practice. This is a tool. But this image really communicates to that survival system that you can come down, you can switch, there's no threat. So that's a really retraining mechanism for ourselves. And another one of those languages is the language of action, because in the stress, as we mentioned, you see the life-threatening situation and you act on that. And that's how you complete the stressful reaction. When you don't complete the stressful reaction, that's when it starts accumulating, becoming chronic. So any muscular response, you go outside and you walk for a minute, a brisk walk, or you clench and relax your muscles, that will actually send the system to your, to send this come down. It's like, this is it, we're safe. Let's move from there. So this is stress management tools. I call them first aid. And when you feel overwhelmed, when you feel anxious, when you feel angry, when you feel emotional, use one of those techniques and you see how easily you get out of that subconscious state of survival into a much more calm state, a much more sustainable state as well. But these are only first aid tools. So it's kind of like a Band-Aid, right? So right now I cut my arm and I put a Band-Aid on it. For sustainable techniques, there are sustainable practices that we can talk about as well.
Yeah. I would love to talk about the sustainable practices also. But just to recap what you said right now, I was just reflecting on it myself. Like, those are like the things I have to have in my toolkit all the time, my first aid box all the time. Like, once I'm feeling stressed, I should know, okay, it's time to breathe. Like, pay attention to your breathing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also, visualizing. I love that so much. I'm going to start practicing that. So, like, see myself in that happy place.
Mm-hmm.
The example that was coming to my mind was like, see myself running in the Olympics, for example, or,
Exactly.
Yeah.
In that sense, you can imagine the running in the Olympics. And there's research that supports that. This is really amazing. The power of our brain, the power of imagination, like our preverbal systems truly do not distinguish between imaginary activity and the real activity. So if you can imagine very vividly that you're running the Olympics, your body may feel and train as if you were an Olympian. This is a amazing ability that we have in our brain that most of us are not really using.
Using that's true. Yeah. We have so much power that we not tapped into. Yeah. And also the last one is basically taking the action, like going for that walk, maybe also working out. I don't know. I'll just ask that in between. Also, doing some exercises, some press ups, some push ups. Would that also add to, the action I could do?
Right, exactly. So for a lot of people, it's a tall order to go with an exercise, right? So very few of us really exercise regularly. This is not what I'm talking about. This is great. If you go and exercise, absolutely, you burn that, cortisol, adrenaline, absolutely, and it's very healthy for you. So in this particular situation, for as a stress management technique, kind of in the first aid in the situation, we're talking about the brisk walk, or maybe a few stretching exercises, or maybe, as I said, you clench and relax your muscles. So in the moment, if you do that, you'll actually release a lot of that stress and bring your nervous system in a much more sustainable state.
Okay. Because I was asking that because I've heard from some friends who say, I'm feeling so much stress right now. I have to go to the gym and, just
Yeah,
blow some steam.
for sure. Exactly. That works as a magic tool. So we know that, right? So when we go to the gym and we burn that steam. So what does it do, right? So that sense again, that burns all those hormones that, got released during the stress. So you burn all those hormones, and it sends the signal to our nervous system that, oh, that's how we complete the stress cycle. So you elevated your state, from a survival, you really activated your survival response, and that's how you complete it. This is it. The danger has passed.
Yeah. Thanks so much for that. Yeah. So I'd like us to talk about the sustainable way, basically, can you like walk us through
Uh-huh.
the strategies that we could put in place to make it
Yes.
sustainable?
So a lot of things that we're talking about leadership, and the reason why I really talk about leadership in this sense, that leadership really starts with self-leadership. We know, so it's like, how to be a better leader? Be a better human being, right?
Yeah.
So what does that mean, the self-leadership? So you start first, you become a role model, you become a person you want to see next to you. So in terms of sustainable practices, so one of those is the practice of noticing things you like instead of things you don't like. Some people call it a practice of gratitude. So when your first reaction is really to be grateful to what you see instead of seeing the wrong with the situation. In a workplace environment, what does that mean? When you talk to your colleagues, or you talk to your employees, or you talk to your manager, you start with acknowledging, right, and appreciating what they have done before or instead of criticizing what they're doing. So this is actually a very powerful practice of gratitude, because you're in that elevated state of mind. You're constantly looking for ways for things that you like instead of things that you don't like. And it is a practice. And once you see things that you like, you say, well, thank you. Thank you to that person. Thank you to my company, right? So thank you to myself that I did that. And very quickly, people around you start mirroring that. So in the business environment, what it means is that you create a culture of appreciation. And people who feel appreciated, they're much more productive, they're much more happy, they're much more loyal, and they stay much longer with you. So you yourself create that very favorable environment around yourself, that culture of appreciation, and you yourself is in that state of gratitude. When you're in a state of gratitude, it's very hard for the survival mechanism to kick in, right? So that's what I'm talking about, the sustainable practices. And it is a practice. This is how you actually train yourself to perceive the reality. You're not, wearing a rose colored glasses. No, but you are choosing to perceive what you like first instead of what you don't like.
Yeah. Yeah. It takes me back to what you said earlier about, choice and excuses, basically, like making that choice all the time. Yeah. To look at what you like.
It is very powerful. So if you think of this, so there's so many things that are outside of our control, right? Like maybe the rain will come tomorrow. I have a big party planned outside and the rain will come tomorrow. This is outside of my control. I drive car and I get into the traffic jam. This is outside of my control that so many other people decided to drive at the same time, right? So I turn on the television. I see fires somewhere in, I don't know, Australia. This is outside of my control. So the things that are outside of my control, And I can choose to stress out about them, but there's not much I can do about them. So the choice here is that what are the things that are within my control? So what I choose to pay attention to, right? What I choose when I pick the things I like and I'm grateful for them, that's inside of my control. When I choose to re-energize myself with a self-care to intentionally insert joy into my life, this is inside of my control. This is entirely within my control. So that's how you actually, put yourself at the steering wheel instead of being on the back seat. It's like, oh, I don't know where things are going. Yes, you know, because you control them. You make a choice to react this way. You make a choice to fill your life with joy. You make a choice to put the boundaries. You make a choice to relinquish unnecessary control. You make a choice to fear or not to fear. You make a choice to perceive the situation as favorable or unfavorable. That is a choice.
Oh yeah. So I thanks so much for answering that, because a question was coming or popping up in my head, and I'll just ask anyways. But I think you've answered it already. And the question was basically, how can I stop stressing out about the things that are not within my control? Even when I cannot find anything to be grateful for about it. Like, imagine me organizing a party that's supposed to be outdoors and it starts to rain tomorrow, and I can't find anything good about it because I've invited all my friends from all over the world.
Yeah.
How can I stop stressing out about that? What do I do? I can't find another venue. I can't find another alternative because I've been fixed on this. What do I do then to stop stressing?
Yeah. So in terms of gratitude, even within the situation, right? So there's still things to be grateful about. I am alive. It's a good problem to have. I have so many friends who are willing to come and celebrate with me. So this is the thing to be grateful about, right? So there's always you can, you can probably like move me in a smaller party, or you cancel that party and move it somewhere else. So there are other things that in terms of actions, it really depends on, they're always a choice. Canceling a party is always a choice. So, well, c'est la vie, right? So this has happened this way. This is not the end of the world. But in terms of being grateful, so I can tell you right now, it's like, I'm alive. It is a miracle, right? So I can breathe, I have so many friends who are coming who want to spend that time with me. There is a rain, some people are praying for rain that they cannot get it. And I get this rain, the magic of the nature. It is a practice. So you actually intentionally, look through that. And is there something to be grateful about? I usually start like, I'm alive. I breathe, oxygen comes to my body and somehow everything works. I don't know how. It is a miracle. I'm grateful for that.
It is a privilege to be alive. Yes, that's true. Yeah. So if we are able to put all of this in place, like the first aid and the sustainable strategies in place, are we going to be able to experience sustainable success in our life today?
Yeah, so I personally think, and that's what I've seen from people around me, that this self-responsibility, right? So that kind of radical self-responsibility and distinguishing when the people that are the people things outside of my control and in my control, that really brings that sustainable level of fulfillment, because you're the driving seat, you're a creator, of your reality, pretty much, right? And obviously, there are more fine-tuned practices there. In terms of burnout, people say, well, but I don't have money. I don't have roof over my head. So there's always a solution. I can tell you that there is always a solution. There are some solutions that are more difficult to find. There are some solutions that are easier to find. But from the stress kind of high achievers, leadership positions, a lot of that is really how you construct your life, how you take ownership of that, and how you communicate your value. So, and it does start with kind of that defining, this is what I want, right? So this is who I am. This is how I want my life to be. And you create it from there.
That's awesome. Yes. So I have a follow-up question, to burnout, and that's about well-being, taking care of our well-being. So how can I, as a leader, you told us already, you have to lead ourselves first, like self-leadership. So how can I, as a leader of myself or a leader of a team, leader of a company or companies, how can we prioritize our well-being without compromising on professional goals?
Yeah. So from a company perspective, from a corporation perspective, again, there is a research that is very well done that we actually now have numbers how devastating burnout is in your workforce. So we actually have the number to assign. So there's thousands and millions and billions of dollars that are being wasted due to employees being in burnout. Lack of motivation, missed days, the lack of retention, always hiring and training new people, and so on and so forth. So this is actually a very good argument within the company to really evangelize for the well-being programs, for kind of mental health programs, for all those things that we were talking about to allow people more flexibility and to have more appreciation and so on and so forth, all those cultural elements that we're talking about. So that's a very good chunk of research with the numbers supported how devastating and how damaging it is on the bottom line. In the financial terms, this is not a rule was like, well, let's have a meditation, we'll meditate together. No. So this is actually, hard numbers, financial results of the company that suffer when we don't have this in place, when we don't care of, well-being in place. Yeah. Now, on the individual level, again, this is like, how do I put myself in a driver's seat? So one of the things that we talk about a lot is how you start viewing your contribution at the workplace and how you start communicating that contribution to the company, not in terms of the time that you spend there and the tasks that you completed, but in terms of the value that you brought to the table. So once you switch that conversation for yourself and for your company in terms of the value, this is the unique value that I bring, then you have much more flexibility to apply those kind of well-being practices, be more flexible to be more strict with your boundaries and flexible with your time and control and autonomy and so on and so forth.
Yeah. So we have to put in those practices into place. Ensure that, yeah. And so, I'd like to go a little bit personal to learn from your experience,
Mm-hmm.
the founder and the CEO, you have your PhD, you have MBA. How do you balance work responsibilities, company responsibilities with your own personal time or with your family time?
Yeah. Right. So all the things that we were talking about, they come from my personal experience. So this is what I had to do for myself. This is like, and I made the choices. We were talking about the choices, what you regret, what you don't regret. It's a choice, right? So I made choices to construct what the vision for me, what a success is, what I want to do, how I want to work, how many hours I want to work, what's important for me. Varies a week to week. There's one week that it's very important for me to be all in for my customers, for my clients, and put all my time and all my work there. And next week, it's more important for me to spend time with my family. But once I start again looking at that in terms of value that I bring and I want to contribute and I can contribute, that actually provides that elasticity to really bring kind of all these pieces harmoniously. So I don't like to talk about work-life balance because it's like a dichotomy. It's like a little bit more of that, less of that. I really like to talk about the harmony, and that harmony is between bigger pieces, just work and life. So that harmony is your vitality, your health, and that harmony is your relationship with yourself, with your loved ones, with your community. That harmony is your sense of purpose. That harmony is your financial stability. That harmony is your emotional stability. So all these pieces, right? So they contribute each day into that, sense of vitality, sense of fulfillment, and sense of flourishing.
I love that harmony. I'm going to start making use of that also myself, and not just work-life balance, but creating harmony into every component that within every component that's in my life that makes up myself. I know we've talked a lot. I've learned a lot from you already from this conversation, but there's a question that's on my mind right now, and I'd love to ask you, and that's basically, in this kind of fast age that we live in right now, technology is rapidly changing. We have AI in place and all of that. How do we stay ahead of the game when it comes to even AI and the new technologies that are coming?
Yeah, so I'm in the camp of those who are welcoming AI. Again, what you can control, what you cannot control. So
Yeah.
AI is there. So we have to acknowledge that. And this is a very powerful tool and it's a very powerful technology. So that technology, we're only touching now the way it is going to change our lives. Fundamentally, the way we work, the way we live, the way we contribute, the way we solve problems, and so on and so forth. It's a fundamental shift of, a huge magnitude. So now I'm from the camp of people who say, welcome, welcome, because we'll automate a lot of things that most of us really don't enjoy doing. That we're not very good at this. We're not very good at doing analysis. We're not very good at doing repetitive tasks. Most of us, there are some people that are exceptional and really, but most of us actually are not that good. As humans, these are human limitations. But this is the AI, technology like AI really gives us a unique chance to be more human. So now you start saying, what are my human qualities that really have an opportunity to shine now? And those qualities of how you're building a collaboration, how you relate to other humans, how you build trust, how you express your creativity, how you generate those big visionary ideas. So one of the things that are happening now, and maybe that will change in the future, but like with the data-driven solutions, with data-driven decisions, for example, we tend to just, do a low-risk things. We're not really doing anything new because we're just oriented to the, historic data to come up with the new ideas. But this is a totally very human, creative, unique trait to generate those big ideas that are not based on the old data. So those are the things that, if we think creatively, this is what makes us uniquely human. And this is what we now really have an opportunity to express and to build and to grow and to evolve. So a lot of programs, when we're talking about leadership in the age of AI, that's what we're talking about, that there are elements of this that are uniquely human, that have a value that AI will not be able to replicate for some time now, or maybe never, right? Those are, how we relate to people, how do we manage people? So the workforce is becoming different, right? The workforce is becoming a much more autonomous, much more entrepreneurial. People have choices. So how do you manage people like that? How do you manage people that have choice? And that's really through human connection, through emotional intelligence, and through creativity and the challenges in that perspective.
Yeah. Wow. Yes. I mean, AI is something that is here to stay and it's reshaping leadership, like you said already, and we just have to embrace it and make use of it.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people that are way too optimistic about AI. I've been in technology for a long time, so I know that technology is just one piece. At the end of the day, the way we live right now, technology, it needs to be used by people. The adoption of technology is a very big hurdle to overcome for most of the technologists, and the same with AI. So it's not like tomorrow, we'll implement artificial intelligence is going to, you know, make tons of jobs obsolete. Uh, it is about adoption. It is about acceptance of that technology. And it's going to take a long time to do that. And again, there's a uniquely human element of this that, at least by now, a lot of people, there's a consensus that probably won't be able to be replicated by artificial intelligence.
Yes. Wow. Victor, I've learned so much from you from this conversation, and I'm so grateful one more time. From what thing I've learned from you is basically that everyone is a leader. I will say everyone as a leader because you're either leading yourself or you're leading a company, leading a team, leading a group of people, leading your family also. So for listeners out there, what would be like, I've learned a lot from you and a lot of takeaways already, but is there like an actionable takeaway that you want every listener to apply to their lives from today?
Thing, right? So let's start small. Start with the choice of words, what we started our conversation with. Instead of saying I have to or I get to, say I choose to. So I choose to not get out of bed today. It is a choice. I choose to take a nap instead of washing your dishes. I choose to not pursue that opportunity, or I choose to put to take that risk. So that would actually, if you practice that, just watch the language that you use, you'll see how many choices you do unconsciously, and they act as excuses, and how many of those you will start actually choosing.
Yeah. I choose to do the dishes immediately after this conversation. I'm telling myself that right now. So what's the best way to connect and work with you, Victoria?
So the best way to find me is on LinkedIn. I post a lot of content there. There's a way to reach out to me directly. I'm happy to continue this conversation. For corporate programs, for business programs and leadership programs, the Silicon Valley Executive Academy, svexecutive.academy, is a website where you can find a lot of corporate work that we do.
Awesome. I'm going to place a link to your website in the show notes of this episode, and I encourage everyone out there to reach out to you. And I think I believe when you go to the About Us page, you'll see your profile, your beautiful picture there, and you can, get to read more about you also. Thank you so much, Victoria. Great. That's been so wonderful speaking with you.
Thank you very much. It was a fantastic experience.
Hey there, podcast enthusiasts. Are you ready to add a little sparkle to your day? If you're loving the insightful conversations and captivating stories on Mirror Talk Podcast, here's a friendly nudge to hit that subscribe button. By subscribing, you'll never miss out on the empowering messages and thought-provoking discussions we bring to your ears. But wait, there's more. We're all about spreading positivity and inspiration, and you can be a part of it too. How? By sharing the love with your friends and family. Share this episode with your loved ones, and let's create a ripple effect of empowerment and growth together. And hey, if you've been enjoying what you hear, why not take a moment to leave us a glowing 5-star review? Your feedback fuels our passion to keep delivering content that resonates with you. So hit that subscribe button, share the love, and leave us a review. Let's keep the conversation going and spread the Mirror Talk magic far and wide. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, your support means the world to us.